Hmm. Well, I'm assuming that given what Doug just said about the media and also and the cancellations and the financial issues that are obviously going to impact the industry going forward. How do you think all of that is going to now affect these issues of transparency? Do you think that they will? Is this a time that there can be greater concern for this?
Well, the old adage, don't let a crisis go
Yes.
by without taking advantage of that old routine. I think I think the jury's still out on that, Deborah. It's going to be very interesting to watch how media sales through agencies evolves in the next 6 months or so. Because if they are in fact holding a lot of inventory that they owe, whatever they owe to the underlying media, that's going to be a very tense relationship, and they're going to have to sell this. It's like airline seats, right? Same analogy. On the other hand, if they haven't done that with the media, and they're not holding principal media in any capacity, then it's going to shift to the media needing to get that airline seat sold before it goes by. And they're all worried now, and everybody should be worried in the media business. There's no production going on. We don't know what the series are going to be. We don't know what kind of ratings it'll be. We're buying in the dark right now. And people are not going to do that unless they think they're getting some phenomenal deal. Now, if we go back to 2008 and 9, we had the Great Recession, there were some winners and losers there in media buying. There were some companies that took the gamble and they got deeply discounted or minor increase costs in media by going out long, by going out a year, going a year and a half, or whatever it was. There are others who waited and they ended up paying a premium when it did open up again because the inventory had been taken. So that gamble is there. And the question really, unlike in 2009, it wasn't as acute as it is now. This is as bad as it's ever been in my career I've ever seen. This will do two things. One, it'll be interesting to see what happens with media pricing. But second, when this kind of disruption occurs, a lot of warts can be seen. And I think that one of those will be transparency, but in a broader sense. I think they're going to be asking themselves, well, am I paying the right amount for network? When it's allegedly a declining market, am I paying too much for digital when I see the effect where, according to reports, 50% or whatever of my dollar that I pay out gets to the publisher. So a lot of this, I think, in a broader transparency perspective, forget about the transparency of whether an agency is getting a principal buy or a rebate or whatever. I think that the positive from this is that this may show a little bit more about the problems in the industry, because we'll see more of the failures, and we'll be more diligent. Brands will be more diligent in their investment because they're looking at it much closer. So the C-suite is now definitely engaged in looking at how these monies are being spent.
No, that is quite interesting.
So that I think is a positive thing from this.
I was going to say, Manuel, didn't you just complete a media outlook and a media inflation index? Since this seems to be a lot of the focus now, and since the cost of media is such a big portion of the cost of marketing, this could be, you're right, Doug, could be construed as a positive way forward. But what do you think, completing that outlook now?
Well, there will be issues with pricing. Pricing is likely to go down or at least remain flat. There's been movement between second quarter and third quarter. Third quarter is going to get crowded as a result. There will be a lot of options exercised on the TV upfront side and so forth. And we'll see how that sorts out. But on the transparency front, we are finding something incredibly interesting and disturbing happening right now. Clients, of course, are looking at their costs, including agency costs and payment terms. So they're calling agencies, and we know several instances of this happening now. And they say, I need to reduce my fees. And by the way, I also need to extend my payment terms, which right now stand like whatever, they are 120. Well, I need to extend them even further. So agencies are saying, well, can't do that. Oh, wait. I have a solution for you, Mr. Klein. You need to come back to your boss and tell them that you got the reduced fee and extended payment terms. Great. What we're going to do is now you're going to commit to opting into these transactions more than you have before. Let's set up a specific percentage of your spend that is going to go through the opt-in transactions. And I'll be very happy to extend your payment terms and reduce my fee. So again, as Doug said, never let a good crisis go to waste. Well, I think advertisers are so focused on just keeping their business running that transparency is not necessarily top of mind. Whereas agencies are also thinking of keeping their business in good shape, and transparency is definitely on their mind. And they're going to make sure that these opt-in transactions get cemented into contracts in a much more formal way and with fixed percentages in some cases.
Yeah, that's an excellent point that Manuel is making, in that, once again, the KPIs on how the brand measures their executives and their success is all about pushing costs down, at least on a, subjectively. I mean, it's not easy to prove whether or not you really saved anything, but I agree 100% that the opportunity also lies with the agencies. And if they can get long-term, they can get brands to accept more and more of this principal buy status going, beyond the cycle that we're in now, because it'll come back. We all know it's going to come back. Then they're going to be even in a better position than they are now.
So then, how do you're both advocates of trying to foster a more transparent and trustful environment within this whole ecosystem. That's for sure. You both devoted a tremendous amount of your energy to it. Doug, you've taken on the whole trust consortium. Manuel, you spend countless hours auditing to ensure that all of this is in compliance, and so on. Where do we go now? What do you recommend? What do you both recommend that marketers should be doing as they balance the concerns of today's realities with the importance of these issues?
To me, the first step that needs to be taken is more education. And I don't, even large clients, except for a very small number, perhaps a handful of them, really do not understand in great detail what happens behind the curtain with all these opt-in transactions and with all the new agency practices, right? These are the ones that are now coming to light. Maybe they were there all along. But there are two things that really concern me. One is in the opt-in transaction from side, we have a situation where agencies are buying as agent for a disclosed principal for a good chunk of the client's money, while at the same time they're buying as principal for all these opt-in transactions, which are for profit, undisclosed, non-transparent, etc. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that while you're doing these negotiations, there could be value transfer from the agent transactions to the principal transactions. Let me just give you an example. Big agency holding company buying group goes to big media conglomerate, and they say, Mr. Client, Mr. Media Vendor, I have $200 million here for the sake of argument that I'm going to buy as agent. I need you to give me a good deal, because the likes of Cortex Media or any of our competitors are going to come in and they're going to audit, and like when those people come in, we need to make sure it looks okay. So just give me a good deal, an okay deal on that. Oh, by the way, wink, wink, I have these other $50 million for you. This is bonus. This is fresh extra money for you, which I am going to give to you, but you really, 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 really need to give me a good deal, wink, wink. So not a word has to be said, implying that there's a transfer of value from one transaction to the other, but anyone will figure out that there's something happening there potentially. So that's one issue. So the agency is now in a conflict of interest, and the list of conflict of interest, we could do another talk on that. It's long.
I'm noting that. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. And then then you have an issue there of conflict of interest. The agency might be recommending to an advertiser something that benefits the agency, not necessarily is good for the advertiser. And whether you decide later to opt in to these transactions, value from your agent transactions is probably already been taken out. So one way or another, whether you opt in or not, it's already happened. So that's number one. Number two is all the transactions that we see going on with agency-related parties. So you have an agency who is by contract being transparent. They're supposedly buying from a third party or from some other party. And lo and behold, it's part of the agency group, or they have a major interest in it, or even a small interest in it, or some other type of arrangement with it. And then they're buying from them, and that is presented as an arm's length transaction. And then what happens then is that the agency doesn't make any money. It's perfectly clear, transparent, but then their related party, which also hits the same bottom line at the end of the day, is making the money. And we've seen this happening where even a legitimate third party is being used by an agency, and the agency then directs that third party to buy from their own media inventory from another one of their divisions further down the line in the supply chain. So from an auditing point of view, that's impossible to trace, because you hit the wall at the first real arm's length transaction. What you don't know is that party is now buying from the buyer themselves. That happened in England with one of the major groups. And when that party went bankrupt, it turned out that the agency group was the largest creditor of that media vendor. So that's happening as well. So this is an absolutely mess from every perspective, and unless clients take the time to understand what's happening and how their agencies are working or not, this is not going to get addressed. So education is number one on the top of my list, and then once people know what they're doing, everything else will follow.
All right, so education. Doug, we're coming to the end of our show. Would you like to either comment on that or really offer what your view is for moving this forward?
Yeah, no, thanks, Deborah. I couldn't agree more with what Manuel said about the education. Again, that's why the Trust Consortium in the ANA is going to push that hard going forward in the next few quarters, where the Trust Consortium is coming out with 2 papers, one pretty quickly on data, and the second was going to be on programmatic, and we're looking at others we can come out with. And what they are, along the lines of what Manuel is saying, is the basic education, because as he said, a lot of the people who are in that chain of negotiations in the contract realm don't even know what data really is. They don't understand the issues of programmatic. They don't understand the affiliate relationships. They don't understand all the different ways that this can be manipulated so that it looks fine on the surface. And when you finally get around to doing an audit, your auditor is frustrated because we know what's going on, but you agreed to something that puts a wall up, and you can't get beyond that short of filing lawsuits. And while some lawsuits have been filed and been very quickly settled for fear of this becoming more public, the bottom line is that without some understanding, some basic understanding, you may find a opting in is a good thing for you. That's fine. As long as you're doing it in an educated perspective, as opposed to just blindly doing it because your trusted partner has assured you that they're going to get you savings if you do this. And then there's never proof of whether those savings actually occurred or how much they were marked up throughout the affiliate system. We've seen some stories that are unbelievable in the last 5 years. But again, I think that the frustrating part about this, and I think I'm sure Manuel may feel the same, is that we scream from the mountaintop about this and we try to educate about this, but more than not, don't listen. And they end up being down the same road they were for the last 20 years, and they're smiling because they got they got their KPIs, so they're looking good. Meanwhile, their shareholders and their companies are being denied significant sums of money.
No, well put. Let's leave it here for now. because it sounds like we'll have to come back on at least 3 topics.